In this video, I've sifted my project management library for my 10 top book recommendations. After you've watched it, let me know what your top recommendations are in the comments below. I've put links to all of my recommendations in the description below. Number 0, a big manual. I don't want this list to be weighed down by all the big manuals that you might want to buy. And therefore, I want to get them out of the way before I start my top 10. If you need them, and you'll buy them. If you don't need them, you may still choose to buy them because all of these big manuals have a lot to learn from. They are good documents that have been prepared carefully. So I would recommend them all. But they're expensive and you may not choose to buy them. What I have here is the current 7th edition of the PMI's Guide to the Project Management Body of Knowledge, the current 7th edition of the APM's Body of Knowledge, and the current 7th edition of the Prince 2 Manual. The Prince 2 Manual, as I'm recording this, is relatively new. But we're expecting updates to both the PMI's and the APM's bodies of knowledge in the near future. The APM probably in the first half of 2025. The PMI maybe a bit later. Number 1, a basic guide for beginners. There are so many good beginners books for project management. These include books like Project Management, Absolute Beginner's Guide, What You Need to Know About Project Management, Project Management All-in-One for Dummies, 2020 Project Management, and Project Management for the Unofficial Project Manager. And I'm sure there are plenty more. However, I'm going to start with the one I truly believe in, because I have trained thousands of project managers, many from a point of no project management knowledge at all. I know what works for me. I know what works for the people I've trained. I've also built a large number of online training courses for project management and made a large number of videos for you on this channel. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you like my other videos and you like my style. And therefore, the book that I'm going to recommend is my own. This is How to Manage a Great Project by me. It's a short book that covers everything, and it talks about project management in the same way I talk about it in my videos and in my training courses. This has a lot of resources in it and a lot of diagrams that will help you to deliver your project on budget, on target, and on time. Number 2, a book for project managers with experience who want to stretch their knowledge, their expertise, and to think in new ways about their discipline. This is Performance-Based Project Management by Glen Alleman. A beginner could read this book, but I really recommend it for professionals with a little bit of experience under your belt. Glen Alleman really knows his stuff. He is rigorous, he is reliable, but he explains things in a simple way. And he has a slightly different way of explaining them to any other book that I've come across. This means that he will stretch your thinking and give you new ideas for how to deliver your project and what to prioritise in your practice. This book is a distillation of a vast number of simple but important ideas from Glen's vast experience of high-value, high-criticality projects, largely in the US defence and public sectors. Read this book because no one thinks about project management as rigorously and as critically as Glen Alleman does. Number 3, the book that changed my project management life. In the 1990s, I read All Change, the Project Leader's Secret Handbook by Eddie Obeng twice, back to back. Now it's in a highly updated 2nd edition with colour illustrations. It's changed its title slightly to be All Change: The Secret Art of Transformation, Perfect Project and Change Management. This book is absolutely jam-packed with ideas, inspiration, tools and models. Eddie Obeng is a compelling writer with more ideas per second than anyone else I've ever met. This book is an absolute must-have for anyone who is serious about project management, change management, transformation leadership. It's got so many ideas in it that will inspire you. I absolutely recommend this book. Number 4 is a book for project managers who want to be the absolute best that they can be. This book is Alpha Project Managers: What the Top 2% Know that Everyone Else Does Not. Andy Crowe surveyed a large number of companies to find out who their top project management performers were, and then he sifted those to find the absolute best of the best. Once he'd done that, he went to those project managers and to the people around those project managers and asked what was it that they did differently. How do they think differently? How do they behave differently? What are the different ways that they do their job? He documented all his findings into this book, which is full of fascinating information and tables and data that will tell you exactly what you need to do to be one of the alpha project managers, one of the top 2%, if you put your mind to it. If you want a little bit more information before you commit to buying this book, and perhaps a few snippets of his findings, then I'll put a link to a full review that I did for this book in the description. However, my recommendation is that if you want to excel, if you want to be one of the top 2%, don't delay. Click on the link and buy this book today and read it as soon as it arrives. Number 5, From Management to Leadership. It's very tempting to recommend my own book on project leadership, Brilliant Project Leader. But I've already recommended my own basic book on project management, so I'm going to choose another one instead. This is the second edition of Susanne Madsen's book, The Power of Project Leadership. It is highly complementary to my own book. It covers the topic in a very different way, but it draws conclusions with which I agree 100%. Susanne presents her findings as 7 tips or principles for project leadership. If you aspire to move your project management into true leadership, then you can do no better than to pick up this book and look at the principles that Susanne identifies. Number 6, a book to help you work with people the way their brains demand. I think we're moving into an era where we can confidently start to supplement the surface insights that psychology gives us into the way that we think with the even deeper insights that are coming from neuroscience. And the first book to properly target this type of information for project managers is this, Neuroscience for Project Success by Carol Osterweil. This is a small but excellent book which will help you to understand the way that your teams, your sponsors, your stakeholders think, and to harness the emerging science of neuroscience to the advantage of you as a project leader, your project, and your client or organisation. This, I hope, it will be the first book of many that teach us how to harness this revolution in the way that we're able to work with our teams, with our users and customers and stakeholders for project success. Number 7, a book for advanced project managers who are working or aspiring to work at enterprise level. Filling Execution Gaps by Todd Williams blew me away when I first read it. This is not a quick read. It's a big book with big ideas. But there is no book I know that makes a better link between delivering projects and programs and the strategic intent behind them. This will give you a lot of ideas to think about and many practical ways to advance your project and program practice. It's a book for seasoned professionals, not for beginners. But if you want to work at that level, this would be the first book that I would pick up and read to start my journey. And working at that level, I think you'll find yourself coming back to this book again and again for inspiration and ideas. Number 8, risk management. There are many great books on risk management, and of course among them is my own Risk Happens, which I recommend very highly indeed. But it's difficult to select a best book on risk management with some really good titles out there, including Glen, Alleman and John Quigley's new book on risk management. So I've decided to recommend the book that I like the best, the one that sits at a happy medium ground between basic risk management books that give you all the basics but nothing much more, and the very advanced texts, which give you, if you like, an academic understanding of risk management that you would only ever apply in the biggest, most complex projects. The book that I like the best and that taught me the most is Identifying and Managing Project Risk by Kendrick. And one of the things I absolutely loved about this book is the way it takes the case study of the Panama Canal through each chapter of the book to illustrate and introduce the ideas in the chapters. This is a book that is not only a reference text, but a book you can read and enjoy. So, if you want to take your risk management to the next level, then I recommend Identifying and Managing Project Risk by Kendrick. It is simply excellent, readable and pitch perfect for second-tier risk managers. And I would say that even advanced risk managers who haven't yet read this book will learn a lot from Kendrick. Number 9, Stakeholder Engagement. I have to admit that I do believe that the best book on stakeholder engagement on the market at the moment is my own. The Influence Agenda, a systematic approach to aligning stakeholders in times of change. And the reason that I prefer this book to any others is because it goes wider and deeper than most of the other books, but it isn't an academic text. This book draws on ideas from social science, psychology, neuroscience, nudge theory and marketing to give you new ideas, new tools, new techniques to help you in engaging your stakeholders effectively. If you want a comprehensive toolkit approach to stakeholder engagement with lots of practical tools and techniques in it, then I do recommend The Influence Agenda by Clayton. Number 10, a textbook. Lastly, if you're going to build a serious project management career, then I think you need a good textbook on your shelf. And the one that I have had for many years is my trusty ex-library 3rd edition of Meredith and Mantel's Project Management, a Managerial Approach. This is now in its 2021 11th edition by Meredith and Schaefer. But I relatively recently, I think about 4 years ago, upgraded to a 7th edition, Meredith and Mantel, to improve my library. And the trick I would advocate to you is that textbooks change relatively slowly, but are updated relatively frequently. And therefore, because textbooks are so expensive, a wise move is to look for an edition that is 1 or 2 editions out of date. There's a good chance there won't be very much different in it to the current edition, but as a second-hand book, it will be a lot cheaper. So my final recommendation is a good textbook and I choose Meredith and Mantel or Meredith and Schaefer. Project management, a managerial approach. So that's my top 10 with a few extras thrown in, and there are links to all of them in the description. But what are your top recommendations? I'd love to know, and I'm sure so would my viewers. So please do add your favourite project management books, and perhaps a little bit about what you like about them, into the comments below this video. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it or learned from it. I'll be making loads more great project management videos for you, so please do subscribe to the channel too, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.